Yo, what's up guys? In today's video, I'm taking you on a Google Earth map tour of Mendham, New Jersey. I'm literally going to be taking you through the streets and through the air, pointing out restaurants, parks, shopping centers, schools, neighborhoods, you name it, I'm covering it. So stay tuned to the end of this video so you don't miss a house in Mendham that has the most chimneys you've ever seen. Let's go! My name is Kevin and this is Living in Jersey, and I make these videos so you know exactly what you're getting yourself into when making the move to the Garden State. I'm also a realtor and I would love to be your real estate choice when making the move to New Jersey, so feel free to call, text, or email me at any time. Okay, so I always like to kick these map tour videos off with just giving you some geographic bearings about where Mendham is in relation to New York City, because most people know New York City. So Mendham is about 40 miles west of New York City, so you can see we got Central Park here in Manhattan. So if I zoom out, Mendham Township is about 40 minutes west of New York City. So I'm gonna just give you a little rundown of what the surrounding towns are. We've got Randolph, Morristown, Harding, Peapack Gladstone, Bernardsville is down here to the south, Chester Township, Chester, Roxbury is a little bit further out in the distance. I've done plenty of videos on most of these towns, so make sure you check out the channel to see some of the other videos I've done to get a more in-depth look of the area. But to give you a little, grasp of the size, if Mendham Township is over here, Mendham Borough is in the middle. So again, that relationship between Mendham Township, Mendham Borough. Mendham Township is just giving Mendham Borough a big old hug. It's like a little upside down horseshoe. They do operate as two separate towns, but they do go to the same schools and they share a lot of the same things. So I'm going to be kind of covering both in today's video. So let's make our way back to the Google Earth view. And I'm just going to start off by kind of talking about the downtown center of Mendham, which it does have a downtown. It's on the smaller side, but there is a good amount of kind of shops, a few handful of restaurants, but it's a very quiet and quaint town. And before I get into the downtown, I'll get you back to the map here. So if I zoom in, there's no like major highways running through Mendham. We've got Old Route 24, which takes you all the way into the center of, honestly, you could take it all the way to Madison, or if you go east, and that brings you through Morristown to get to Madison, or you can go to the west and it brings you all the way into Long Valley, if we're talking just Morris County. So it's very quiet and quaint because of that, but if you get behind like a truck that's going really slow, it kind of makes a commute a little bit frustrating. And you're about 15 minutes away from the Morristown train station, which you can get to New York City in about an hour. So there are some convenient commuting options. You just have to drive a little bit to get there, so maybe it's not so convenient depending on what your preferences are. But you do get this like quiet, quaint kind of farm historic town versus a more urban type feel when you do have easier access to that public transportation. So if you want more land, bigger house, you might venture out to the Mendham Borough area and Mendham Township. So all right, let's start with the map tour here. We're going to start by a shopping center in Mendham, which it's a small shopping center. I'm just going to drop my pin here. All right, so this is the Mendham Village Shopping Center, and right next to it, we've got a Ford dealer and a gas station. I'm only pointing this out because it's like this quiet, cute, quaint town, and it has some like random car dealerships. There's another Audi dealership, which we'll see a little bit later in this video. I actually got my truck from this place. They've got great service. I would highly recommend it if you're ever in the market for a Ford. But this is a gas station if you ever want to get like the most expensive gas in the area. They kind of have like a little monopoly going because there's not really any other option in Mendham. But back to the Mendham Village Shopping Center. We got ourselves into a little bit nicer of a day, and a summer day. But as you can see, like you can see by the signage, it's like very quaint and kind of, you know, all kind of tidied and put together. There's a bagel store, a UPS store, there's a CVS pharmacy. But you can see it's not your typical signage for a CVS pharmacy. And Mendham kind of holds their aesthetic very near and dear to their heart, and they do a lot to maintain that aesthetic. King's grocery store, you can get everything you need there for the most part. It's just you're going to be spending a lot of money there. It's like a higher end grocery store. So I always tell my clients you're probably going to be going to ShopRite in Chester if you live in Mendham to have a little bit more affordable options. We got physical therapy, pizzeria. There's an Orange Theory over here and a Wells Fargo Bank. So there's that Orange Theory, Wells Fargo Bank. So that's the main shopping center for Mendham. So again, like it's got probably like your quick convenience options that you need with that pharmacy and the grocery store. But if you need to do some more bulk retail shopping, like a Walmart or something like that, it's not in this town. The post office is right behind these trees here. This is Tempewick Road, which brings you down to Jockey Hollow Park, which I'll talk about a little bit later. And then I'm just going to get out of this street view here because it's just kind of residential for a bit. And then I'll reorient myself here. All right, so we'll make our way down Main Street. And this is Mendham High School. It's an A-rated school, or A-plus rated school, according to niche.com. It's actually the top-rated public high school in all of Morris County, according to niche.com. I'll pull that up right here. This is kind of the A rating, A-plus rating over here. So, again, like I always recommend that my clients check out niche.com if they're really concerned about the school district. So, that's Mendham High School. I'm going to drop a pin kind of around here just so you can get a feel for... There's like a historic district in Mendham, and it kind of runs all along Main Street. But you can see these like historic type homes. And we'll just keep moving our way down Old 24 just so you can get a feel for what the street looks like. You see the stonework, and just it's got a cute, quaint town. There's a sidewalk that runs throughout Main Street, and I'm constantly seeing people, you know, kids running from the high school, not running from the high school, but like they're on the cross country team, running on the sidewalks for their practice, walking to and from school. If you live in Mendham Borough, that main downtown hub, you can definitely walk to school or ride your bike. I constantly see that when I'm driving through town here. So this is an interesting point. As I mentioned, like that whole aesthetic that Mendham tries to maintain, and this is the historic district. So if you live in the historic district, there's guidelines that you have to follow if you're making any kind of changes to the exterior of your home. Whether that be a new door or the paint color of your house or any kind of architecture adjustment you're making, it has to get approved by the Historic District Society. So they just put in a new Dunkin' Donuts, and there was a lot of controversy over this Dunkin' Donuts going in for that exact reason, because they try to keep it, you know, very mom and pop kind of small town feel, and the Dunkin' Donuts doesn't quite fit the aesthetic. But what Dunkin' Donuts have you ever seen that looks like this, right? So the architecture is more fitting to the historic district look and feel. So we'll continue down here to Main Street. I always like people who get jacked up about seeing themselves on Google Earth. So yeah, a happy kid in Mendham for getting on the Google Earth camera. Yeah, so as you can see, like other than that like little strip mall, there's not a ton of like shopping. You got some boutique stores here. And then there's some just businesses like a salon. There's probably like a law firm, just like that kind of business. This is Sorrento Pizza. Then we've got the Black Horse, which is probably the biggest restaurant in Mendham. And they've got like a bar section over here. We're in fall now in Google Earth world. And fall in Mendham, Chester, Long Valley is like probably the best time of the year. There's so many farms and hiking trails. You can go apple picking, pumpkin picking, corn maze, you name it, cider donuts, you name it, you could do it all. There's also a cider, or like a hard cider distillery, if that's what you call it, in the Chester area as well. So you can really hit a bunch of stuff in one day. All Seed Farm, they have a lot of popular stuff for the kids, like hay rides and stuff. This is the Black Horse. This is like the bar area. Then there's a restaurant section over here. And then kind of a funny story as I kind of take you through Main Street here. This is Pastime Lanes. And as I'm clicking through, I'll tell you a little story. So, my grandfather, he grew up in Chester, and one of his jobs was to work at the Pastime Bowling Alley lane, which is a very small bowling alley, but it used to be a manual setup. Like, they didn't have machines to set up the pins. So this is Simple Coffee right here, which is a mom and pop coffee shop, and that's pretty much it for Main Street. But back to my story. Because they had to set up the pins manually, a lot of times when people were bowling, they would try to be wise guys and like throw the ball down as hard as they can. Meanwhile, my grandfather is in the back having the pins fly all around his head when people, crush the pins with the ball. So he would stick gum in the hole of the holes of the bowling ball for people who are doing that as a little revenge tactic. And he told me some stories of people chasing him in the back, and he was running out the window to escape from them. But either way, there's a little ice cream shop here. Again, like, not a ton going on in terms of the shops and restaurant scenes, but there's enough. So let me get back out of here. And that's pretty much downtown Mendham. Let me reorient. All right, so now that I'm reoriented, basically that historic district runs all along Main Street, kind of bleeds into some sections of this Borough Park neighborhood, and then bleeds into sections of this Hilltop Road. Now I'm going to start diving into some of these neighborhoods, and I'll start with Borough Park just because it's right here in front of me. So Borough Park obviously has a park, a couple baseball fields, tennis courts, basketball courts. I don't even know if there's a playground. There might not be a playground, but it's a very small park, mostly a playing fields park. So there's not a ton going on there. But if you do live in this neighborhood, it's obviously walkable, and there's a big fields that you can utilize. Mountain View Middle School is also in this neighborhood, so you can see most of these schools are walkable or bikeable in this area. And houses in this neighborhood are going to be anywhere from like 700,000 to $1 million. And one of the key features of living in the borough versus in this borough section versus the township section is that the borough has public utilities. So you have public sewer, public water, natural gas for the very most part. And if I put on the layer here of the terrain, you can see how it's mostly flat in this borough section, and then it gets a little more hilly, mountainous in the township section. So that's another main differentiator. So that's why Mendham Borough's got almost this like beach town type feel to it, because you can walk and ride your bike, and everything kind of just slows down there. The township section is obviously very private and more heavily wooded. I'll get back to the Google Earth kind of view here. So if this is the borough, this is the township, you can see it's much more wooded, and these little circles are just houses that are in the middle of the woods. So just to kind of point that out here. But yeah, this is the Borough Park neighborhood, and then directly across the street we've got a neighborhood that I call Deerfield, and it's a little bit more affordable. So check out some of the B-roll that's kind of going through here for Mountain View. Check that out right now. And then Deerfield, they have a kind of similar look and feel. Houses are a little bit more affordable in Deerfield. There are some like teardowns that would probably be over $1 million, but for the most part, they're pretty similar. And obviously from both of these neighborhoods, you can easily walk to those downtown shops and restaurants. All right, so we've got Deerfield, we've got Borough Park covered, now I'm going to go to a neighborhood called Franklin Farm Estates. And that's this section right here, right next to the high school. And I don't think you could do a street view for most of these because they pretty much just hit the main roads in Mendham. But check out some of the B-roll that's going through as I'm talking about it. And obviously you're right next to the high school. There's little trails that go to the high school so you can easily walk there. I have a friend who lives here. She's got 3 boys, and she always talks about how she kind of just lets her boys ride their bikes and roam around town, and the cops know, like the police officers in town know her kids, and everyone kind of like looks out for them. You know, she feels safe just kind of letting them roam around town and do their thing. So that's Franklin Farm Estates. You're looking at like 700,000 to $1 million in that section as well. It really depends on like the updates and if someone did a tear down and a new build on the property. I think there actually was a recent sale for like 1.6 million for a new tear down in that section. So this road is Tempewick, and it brings you all the way to a park called Jockey Hollow, which has a lot of great hiking trails and stuff like that. So for an outdoorsy, outdoor enthusiast, it's a great option for a weekend hike. And those hiking trails start here. You can kind of see the parking lots as it renders over in this section here. All right, so that is Franklin Farm Estates. I talked about the historic district. So from here, you can kind of see the borough still extends a little bit further out, but it gets a little bit more farmy and, like just further spread out. So this section, I can't guarantee you that you're going to have public utilities in terms of that public sewer. And a lot of people who are moving out of state gets kind of spooked off by septic. If you have questions about it, definitely call, text, or email me. I'm glad to talk about septics because they're pretty common in this area of New Jersey. And if you just say, I'm not going to have a septic, you're going to limit your search like pretty significantly. But I just want to point out this section because there are some crazy big houses in this section of, let me reorient here. There we go. I'll manually do it. All right, so in this section, there's some huge houses, and I'll go through the MLS real quick just so you can get a feel for what some of these houses go for. But this is the house I was talking about earlier in the video with like all these chimneys. And I ride my bike past here all the time, and it's like a sight to be seen when you ride past this place. But this is just a house in Mendham, and as you can see if I zoom out, it's not the only one of these like grand estates in this section. So I'll pop over to the MLS real quick. In Mendham Borough, the highest, or the highest for sale house is this $7.2 million house. I'll click on it here so you can see some of the photos. So pretty interesting, I think. And then I'll do a Mendham Township look also. So Mendham Township, we'll take a look at this guy here, Winston Farm Lane. But yeah, as you can see, you got some really grand estates in Mendham. Oh wow, look at that. You've got tennis court, pool, little farmhouse, like garage type thing. Pretty neat. I'm always a fan of the lines of the mower. That's when you know you have some nice grass. Not totally updated for the price, which is kind of crazy, but I guess you're paying for the size, location. But again, yeah, I'm a realtor in the area, and for my out-of-state clients, I do drone footage, I do, virtual tours. I try to make it as easy as possible to, make the best use of your time. All right, let me get back to the Google Earth tour here. All right, so while we're in the 3D view here, I'm gonna make our way back over to that like Borough Park area. Reorienting myself. All right, so this is where it starts to get very kind of hilly and mountainous, and there actually is a hiking trail kind of at the base of this mountain. It's Patriots Path, and it runs along kind of the outskirts of Mendham Borough. This is a townhome community called the Mendham Commons, and you're looking at probably like $500,000 to $700,000 range for these condos. But they're walkable. The trail runs right along there, and you're not too far from those shopping centers as well. The Mendham Village Shopping Center. All right. As you can see, we've got India Brook Natural Park area. It's a hiking trail system. There's another hiking trail over more east. It's in Mendham Township. So, you know, as I said, like Mendham Township just is more spread out, and you're probably not going to have public utilities. But in general, you know, Mendham has that small town feel. You're pretty close to Bernardsville. I'm trying to get in this 2D version so I can see a little bit better of what I'm working with here. So a lot of people in Mendham Township actually utilize the Bernardsville train station as well. That train gets you to New York City in a little bit, or not really a little bit under 2 hours. It's about an hour and 40 minutes. There is a transfer, and it's a little bit less frequent schedule. But that train station is actually right. Oh, sorry. There it is. That train station is right here. As you can see, the parking lot's pretty small. So on a busy day, you might have to find parking elsewhere. But I'll cover Burnsville in a separate video, but that has another little kind of cute downtown with some restaurants. But yeah, I mean, I'll zoom out here, but you can really get a feel for how you do have to make a drive to get to some major highways. So you got Route 287 running along here from north to south. Route 24 brings you east. You got Route 80, but you got to make a little bit of a trip to get to those things. So if you like the seclusion, the privacy, and obviously a great school, Mendham is a solid option for sure. But just to remind you, I am a real estate agent in the state of New Jersey, and I make these videos for you to help you make a more informed decision when making the move to the Garden State. So feel free to call, text, or email me at any time, and I cannot wait to help you find your dream home. Till next week, guys, hope you enjoyed.